works with several different companies. You guys were given a subscription to Augmented. At the end of the session today, I'm going to pass a piece of paper around asking if you want a 360 or a 3D license. Because we had very few actual emailed back. We're going to go this way, and then I will send all the information in one big file. That way individuals don't have to worry about it. So one of the things that Katie Ann is going to do for us today, teachers get this subscription, and they're like, wow, this is cool. What do I do with it? So she's actually going to explain how you can use this augmented reality in your classroom. It is not a lesson by itself. It cannot fill your entire day. You can't augment the entire day. This is a tool that you put in your toolkit. You pull it out. It's an ooh-ah factor. You'll get a chance to play a little bit. It did bring some triggers. So if you guys could really quick download the Augmented app. It is available in the Google Store, and it is also available on Apple. Is that correct?
Correct.
The what? Yeah. They want us in the dark.
What?
Where are the lights?
That AUGTHET.
Yeah.
Amber, what was the app store?
It's in the App Store. It's called Augmented. Are you guys still getting away from that?
Can you turn that again?
Oh, you want to see people again, huh?
It helps.
Oh, look at your admirers.
Yay. Hi. Okay, like Amber said, I'm Katie Ann Wilson, and I love augmented reality. And today I'm going to show you ways that I use augmented reality in my classroom. And I do teach computer science and STEM classes at the middle school level. Okay, so yesterday when I recorded this, I noticed it didn't record my screen, it just recorded the audience. So knock on wood, today, the recording will have everything I show on my screen.
And we are not going to lose power. She lives in Kansas, which has the most temperamental weather ever. So
we lost power most of the day yesterday and internet, and I literally just got it back 15 minutes ago. And it was the whole town, not just me.
I kept getting messages. It was like, keep your fingers crossed. I have Wi-Fi. I'm like, oh my God.
And I tried doing a Twitter chat last night via my phone, and it didn't work. So we did not have a chat last night.
Katie Ann, I am just now passing out some triggers that are going to go down, so they will have 360s in front of them.
Okay.
So whenever you're ready to give us a break after you talk about it, we'll play with those.
Okay, sounds good. Now you have to let me know if you see my screen.
Oh,
Come on.
this is going into the rabbit hole. Yeah, don't do it yet. She'll kind of explain. I'm just hooking up with the vanilla buttons. She threw it through the screen this morning. I should have.
Okay, what do you see on the screen?
We see finding where the wild things are.
Awesome. Okay, I love where the wild things are, and I wanted to add some augmented reality to it. So this is an activity. It will lead into writing and a STEM project. So raise your hand if you know where the wild things are. Should be almost the whole room. Okay, so read this book before you do this. And this was one of the ones I would have shown last night during the chat, if the chat would have happened. I use that 360-degree augmented trigger because it brings different environments into my classroom. I would have the kids do water scenes when I introduce them to where the wild things are. because that's kind of the wild thing has to. So then I would have them out and explore. When they scan these triggers, it will come to the device, and the kids can move around. This is the only thing that's different from a 3D trigger, where you have to hold your device over the trigger the entire time to get the experience. This is why I love the 360s, because it's around and explore. So I would have the triggers up, and I would have the kids journal and see what they see and write it down and ask them to find where the wild thing is.
All right, Katie Ann, I've got people itching to play with this, so I'm going to let them do it really quick because I see some people already playing.
Okay.
So, what you guys are going to do, you are going to, it's very, very simple, very user-friendly. You hit that big green button that says start. You're going to hold it over the top of the trigger that I gave you. Try to make sure you get the entire picture in. You're going to see pixie dust fly up. Once you see a red and green dial spin, it is loading. The cool thing about these triggers, once you have it loaded, you don't have to stay on the trigger. You can actually stand up, and these are actually best viewed standing up. Don't walk, because you'll walk into something, but you can look all the way up to the sky, look all the way down to the ground, turn in a circle. I've got mouths open, Katie Ann.
Is it done when you see the pixie dust?
You need, you're gonna wait for that symbol that's on the top, the green and red. If you cannot, you got a 360 or a 3D one.
It is?
Here,
Don't touch it.
It's flying without me.
This
is Australia.
Yeah, but that's a 3D one.
Next, okay, put like this one.
And then the ones that are on the screen also, you can trigger those as well. The one that's on the right is one of my absolute favorites. The coral reef, that was really cool. If they're not working, I do have some of the triggers might be outdated because I printed them a while ago. You would know that works, yeah.
When you're done,
Right here.
You can try, the coral reef one is really cool.
what happened? How do you know you're done?
It'll load the picture.
This will load it on the
So it's working.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and that's
Remember one of you when you just close it?
yeah, if you want to do a different one, do a Kagan style quick switch trade. You can go try a different one really quick. Did the one on the screen pick up?
The coral reef,
Yeah. And sometimes it's the angle with lighting, you get some weird. Do we look crazy, Katie Ann?
I can't see you.
Oh, nice. Mine just isn't working.
Oh, no.
Which one do you have? Closer after the
Closer.
I will tell you that I laminate my triggers. I found some laminating pouches that are not glossy. And if you do have ones that are glossy, if you take some sandpaper and lightly brush over, it helps reduce the glare.
Did you try this?
Yeah, I did both of them.
Close the app. These you can't create. So this company does their pre-made triggers, which sometimes is nice. I mean, you don't have to go create your own. There are other platforms that you can go to create on. But this is one that it's a tool chest that you can pull from. They've got 3D images where if you're teaching vocabulary, it's great to pull some of those things out. It's yours freezing every time. And you close completely up.
You have to get really close to it.
No, but when that they do have that is available with some of the 360 with some of the companies.
It doesn't say stand up.
The VR 360s with the headsets and that they can do those. The kids love these though. They're a lot of fun. They work really well as like intros to biomes and science and landmarks and various locations. There you go.
Yeah, I did maybe just, I don't know.
Yeah, it might
It's working. Did you do it? No, it's still not doing it.
You're seeing no at all?
Mine freezes every
Actually, are you both Are you both droids?
Yeah.
That might be it too. Is everybody else Apple or did any of
Well, I
you?
got-
I got a droid. But not this one.
Mine's freezing
It works
I
every
pushed off that, it's just not.
like every time.
Did you have your internet been working?
Samsung has a lot of phones.
Yeah,
mine did
This
that.
looks like it's nice.
It was,
Sometimes they'll say, or studio, they'll say.
Yeah,
Because
that's
they
cool.
don't, it just pops out.
Yeah, it makes
Really cool.
Internet is working fine.
Were you able to pull anything else from the app store? 'Cause it could be-
Okay, I'm gonna move on.
Okay, we are moving back to our seats, we promise.
Okay, so I would start off with the water, and then I would move on to maybe some locations. And then while we were looking at these triggers, I would talk about geometric shapes, because it's going to lead into a STEM project. I would have kids look at the structures, especially with the aqueduct one, see how the arches are used for support. And then this reflecting one is really cool because you can see all kinds of different shapes. And I would have kids start charting the shapes that they see, two-dimensional and three-dimensional shapes. So I would bring in math along with the book of where the wild things are. Then I would have them experience different environments, especially a snowy forest. I would give them 2 examples of a snowy forest and have them explore. All asking where the wild thing is, what do they see, and then also doing some comparison. Are they the same type of trees? Is it the same type of animals that would live in this area? So kids would be journaling as they were exploring these environments. And coming from Florida, I hear that you guys don't see any snow.
I'm in New York from Florida. When I first showed this to my kids, it was the funniest thing ever. Like the little ones, like the first graders, were like, oh, "Snow!" Because they haven't seen it. They're like, "This is amazing!" And you know, even the fact that they can't walk. I know somebody in here just asked me, "Can I walk on this pathway?" Kids ask the exact same thing. They're like, they want to be able to walk, and I've had to kind of set a little rule that you can turn in a circle, you look up, you look down, you look a circle. And I think I even said that with you guys because they think they're walking in the thing, and they're like walking forward, and they bump into the wall, they bump into each other, and they drop the iPads, and like, oh my goodness. So yeah, it's a great way for kids to experience things that they may never get to see. A lot of us teach in like high poverty schools where kids don't get the opportunity to travel, and this is a better way than me pulling up a picture of Google and going, the Eiffel Tower is beautiful, you should see it, and just talk about its, the glory and standing in front of it. They can do that. They can now be there looking around like they were actually standing there. All right, Katie Ann.
Okay.
So
So then I would also give them forest areas that were not snowy and have them compare. And during this entire activity, I would still have them journal because they're taking notes of what they see and what they experience. Because it's going to lead into a writing activity and a STEM activity. Okay, so talking about the STEM activity, I do teach a STEM class, and this is how I would have introduced this activity was with the book and some augmented triggers. Then I would have them design a boat using graph paper. They had to scale it, give me the measurements. They have to label the different parts. And because this is a STEM class, I would have them also make their boat carry weight. Their boat also has to have a sail because they will be the wind beneath their sail, and they will be racing their boats with their weights in it. So I would have different categories. One for the boat that holds the most weight. Maybe one that the actual boat looks like a boat. And then I would have kids, I would challenge them to create this boat using recycled material. I would have them use water bottles without caps because they gotta have the challenge. Sticks, straws, plastic bags that I cut up, cardboard pieces, string, and duct tape. Once they designed their boat, and they had so much fun with this, we raced them. I went and got a blow-up pool that was 10 feet long and gave each team, and I did it with my class, and then I opened it up to the entire school. And this was towards the end of the school year. We ended up with 30 teams. Each team had 4 kids on it. And we raced both. I did 3D print a trophy for the winner. The kids had to go from one end of the pool, blowing their straw into their sail, and get it to the other end of the pool. The kids had a lot of fun, and they received no grade for this, just a trophy. And this talks about the pool. We use galvanized washers for the weight, and the kids really enjoyed challenging each other and getting their boat to hold the most weight. And it had to race. Any questions on this STEM activity?
Katie, and we did have a question. I'm sorry, I'm writing your contact info on the board. We had a question about, are your activities on your blog?
This one is not and will be.
Okay. Did that answer the question? Okay. Okay, we're good.
Okay. So the part that they actually got a grade for my STEM students was a writing assignment. I had them journal this entire time, the 360 triggers, and then I had them write where they would like to go, what would the area look like, and who was with them, and why they were there. So they had all these little writing prompts, and they had to do a writing activity about what they saw and develop their own place where their wild thing went. Okay, any questions on that? My favorite was how they ended their writing, explaining how they got home. We had some really creative ideas of how they got home. Okay, any questions before I show you the next activity?
I think we're all good. I think they're all copying down contact information. Katie, and your Twitter handle, I did look it up really quick. It doesn't have an E on the end, right?
It's Katie Ann, no E, _76.
Okay. One of the things I do want to interject here, just so that I don't forget it later, I want to make sure that you all get the subscription that you asked for, so either the 360 or the 3D. And I don't want it to be something that we forget about later, or it doesn't get mailed in. So what I want you guys to do in, let's say, a week, if you do not get your subscription, you need to email that lady right there. She's the tech support person, their secretary for Augmented, and her name is Lisa. It's very simple email, lisa@augmented.com. If you do not have a subscription, say, hey, I attended a session at ST40 and I am supposed to get a blah, blah, blah license. So just to make sure that they follow through, because they're going to be getting a lot of names. They're going to be getting in, typos happen when you type in email addresses. I can't tell you how many times I write .con instead of .com. So just kind of keep on top of that. In about a week, I would give them some time to put them in. Then in about a week, if you don't hear back, just kind of follow through with them. The other thing that I put up here, Katie does every Thursday. She does an augmented reality chat. I know Terry does this a lot also. She's an Augmented ambassador right here. Ooh, this is Terry.
Hi, Terry.
Hi, Katie. How are you? So her chat that she does every Thursday is a different topic. So if you're a social studies teacher, we have augmented reality social studies chats. We have science, we do interactive notebooks, we've done math, we've done reading, ELA. Am I missing any?
We're adding young learners.
Young learners.
In art.
There's art, yes. So you can use augmented reality across lots and lots of areas, which is really cool. Okay, over the rainbow.
And she has a book.
And she has a book that will be given away at the close of today's session.
Those
This
two
session.
copies that I sent. So hopefully Nick doesn't keep one.
We'll tell him.
Okay, so you should see it over the rainbow.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I live in Kansas. So, Wizard of Oz, Over the Rainbow, is a very popular topic for us. But you could do this activity with any travel story, any children's travel stories, such as Up. I want to say Rosie the Engineer. There's several. So I picked the rainbow because of you. I love Quiver. So I'm going to have a couple triggers for this activity along with the Augmented ones. So if you've never tried Quiver, you've got to. I would start this activity with the two airplanes.
Katie Ann,
Yes.
let me share where to get this really quick. So this is a different company. This is not Augbat. So these are also some augmented reality things that you can do. This app is a free app. It's called Quiver. It's the blue butterfly app that you see up here. There is also a green one. So if you go to the App Store and you see a green one, and you go back and you're like, hey, she told me it was free. The green one is $7.99. It's the EDU version, and they're throwing anything that has to do with education into that app. So you pay one time. It's not one of those things where you have to pay for every trigger that you get. This one, they're going to continue adding to it. They've added a lot of really great science resources. They have plant cells, animal cells. They have moon phases. They've just added some very, very cool stuff in there. The cool thing about this, the kids get to color. So you print out the coloring pages. You go to quivervision.com, which is their website. It's a New Zealand-based company. And really cool, you print out the worksheets. You can make them as big or small as you want. I teach global studies, so one of the things I do at the very beginning of the year, we have interactive notebooks. I print out a map. It's a flat map. My kids color in the continents different colors. This is how we start the year. They copy. I have a huge map that I painted on my wall. They match it to the same as my wall, so that every time I talk about yellow, they know it's Africa. Every time I talk about pink, they know it's Asia. Everything that they label on that map, when they trigger it with Quiver, it will bring up a three-dimensional globe that they're able to actually manipulate with their hands. And whatever they colored is what pops up. So that's something that's really cool. The kids take ownership of what they've done, and it's their work being brought to life, which is really cool. All right, Katie Ann, back to airplanes.
Well, before I forget, all of these slides were created with Bunsy, and these slides will be on my Bunsy ambassador page. So just an FYI. And I think there's a Bunsy session later today.
I already did it. It was this morning.
Oh,
That's correct.
so it's over?
Yep.
Was it good?
Yes. I can't answer that. That's not cool.
Well, no, that's great. Well, this is all Bunsy, so if you ever need help, you can ask with Bunsy. I know Amber would love to help you, and I could help you too. Okay, so I would give my kids these coloring sheets, and just like Amber said, whatever they color will appear on the augmented part. The coloring sheets all different. Some are interactive quizzes, some are labels, and some do some fun little bouncy things, movement things, and kids love them because they're interactive. And they get to see whatever they colored or written on their coloring page. So I would give these sheets to my kids, and I would ask them, if you could go anywhere in the world or over the rainbow, where would you go? And I'll have them color and brainstorm what they're thinking about it. There are a couple from Clever that are paid. So there are some free and some paid. If I was doing Up Though, or any store that had a hot air balloon in it, I would definitely invest in the hot air balloon coloring sheet. It's really cool. Then I would move on to the Augmented triggers. I would give the triggers that have locations, such as the Rome or Paris.
Katie, and can I interject something really quick?
Yes.
The subscription that you guys are getting is kind of all inclusive. So when you get the 360, if you get that, there's hundreds of 360 items. You're going to get all of them. The 3D images, there's thousands of them. I mean, it's like tons and tons of animals, tons of objects, tons of things like that. And she'll explain the difference here in a minute. With the quiver, there's a lot of free ones out there to kind of get your palette wet. But then a lot of them, it's like 99 cents for this trigger. I bought one. We're doing Nepal as one of our country studies this year. They have a Nepal pack, and it has like a flag that comes up. It has like and all the proceeds went to help out the victims of the earthquake in Nepal a couple of years ago. So theirs are typically paid for by the trigger, unless you get that $7.99 EDU one. So that honestly ends up being a better deal in a lot of circumstances.
So Amber, you just have to get it, and then class can join your.
The EDU one, obviously it's by device. They don't want you downloading it on 55 devices.
So then all the students would have to have it on their device.
Yes.
So I think the point is, if you get the EDU account and you print out.
You can print out any of these for free.
Print them. But I'm saying, that gives you the access to the pages that you can print out and you give your classes set. And then if your class is quiver.com, they can.
Quiver.com has the printables, so you can go print every single one that you want.
The app brings them.
The app, each individual one will have to bring it to life. So like you could take any of the triggers and print them and try to bring them up, and they won't unless you have downloaded that specific set. So if you purchase the hot air balloon one, then you'll have access to it. It'll scan. So that's kind of the little trick here. That's one of the things that I really like about Augmented. These, especially the 360s. I teach everybody from kindergarten through 6th grade, and one of the things that's really hard for my kids is to balance an iPad. It doesn't sound like a huge thing, but iPads are big in the hands of kindergartners, and especially the full-size ones. So they have the cover to contend with, they've got the iPad to contend with, they have a trigger, and you have to stay on top of the trigger the entire time to make it work. And then on top of that, then they have to try to manipulate it with their hands, and it's just a hot mess. So my students actually put the triggers on the chairs, and then they have a buddy. So one person is the stationary person, the other person manipulates, plays, and then they switch jobs. These trigger and go. Theoretically, you could print one Eiffel Tower and go trigger, 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 trigger. Every kid has it, they go. So they don't have to stay on top of that image, which is really nice. Okay. Done.
Okay. So I would give them places that they could look at, and then I would ask them, and they would be journaling again while they're exploring. What would your place look like? And they would have to kind of write down what they think the place is going to look like. And this could be an actual place or an imaginary place. I would give them also examples of places where they can have like waterfalls or rivers or, different landmarks or different landmass. And then I would ask him, what could you find there? What kind of animals would live there? What kind of vegetation would grow there? And they would be exploring and writing them down in their journal, because this is going to lead to a writing activity and another STEM activity. And then I would find the triggers. All of these are 360 triggers. I really love the 360 just because I can have one set. Like Amber said, kids scan it and they move around the room with it. I do suggest if you have tables and desks, when you're doing this activity, maybe push them up against the wall so kids don't walk into them. So I give them triggers that have different things that I see that people are doing, and then I would ask them, what would you do there? What would you do in the place that you're planning to go to over the rainbow? And finally, I go back to Quiver, to the map, and I would ask them to place their place that they want to go to on the map. It could be anywhere, and they would have to place it, and then they would use the Quiver app to scan it, and this has different options. They could see where they marked it. Plus, if you change their mode, you can see the nighttime, the lights. You can also go in closer, and you can see the stars. And if you pull up, then the stars kind of fade away. So this is a very interactive trigger, and I would have this as one of the activities for this assignment that I would work on.
One of the things also with this, the nighttime one that she was talking about, is a really cool realization for a lot of kids. Teaching cultural studies, this was cool for me to show the kids. You can see the absolute outline of the United States because of the population of the cities at nighttime. So you can see the definite outline. You can see Florida, you can see Alaska, you can see all of those areas. But then you go into areas like Africa. You see Cairo, you see like maybe Casablanca up the top, and then the rest of Africa is pretty much empty. Like you can't even tell that it exists. So that was a really big realization for a lot of my kids that, wow, why not? Was there electricity not working that day? I'm like, no, really, they don't have that there. That's not like something. So that was cool for my kids to see. They also have topography built in. So you can see the mountain ranges and various things. They have cloud cover. What's cool about this one is there's different buttons once you're in the app that you can push. They give you different views. So you can take away their coloring and change it to different things. They also have a flag one that's really neat that does national anthems of different countries. So the flag waves, you get the Canadian flag, you get the New Zealand flag, you get the American flag, and it plays their national anthem. So, okay. Moving on.
Okay, so I said this would lead to a writing assignment. So I would have the kids write about the place that they would go. They would have to explain to me where it is, what it would look like, who they would take with them, and why would they go. And then we would lead into a STEM activity, and I would have kids design me a flying machine. Now, I've given you some resources that I use to help kids create these flying machines. And I will tweet out all these resources too. And it will be on my blog. I would have the kids develop ways to test their flying machines to see whose flying machine goes the highest and the furthest. So I would have them come up with a plan of how they plan to measure all this out. So they'll have to do some problem solving beyond just building their flying machine. And they would have to use recycled materials. Any questions about this activity?
What grade would you use this for?
Say that again.
What grade would you use this for?
I would use it for middle school, but you can definitely adapt it either for elementary or make it more difficult for high school. Any other questions? So I'm going to show you.
Passing around a paper that asks you for your name, your email, and if you want to do 360 or 3D. So I'm going to explain really quick before she goes on. 3D, the biggest difference, and as she's going to start showing you here, 3D are going to be objects that pop up off the screen. So like my school does a global fiesta at the end of every year, and this year we decided to augment our passports as kids went to different continents. So one of the continents that they could visit for kindergarten was Australia. And so when the kids would scan their passport in Australia, a kangaroo popped up. So they would see a kangaroo, it looked like he was kind of jumping or standing on top of their passport, which is kind of cool. The Caribbean had a dolphin coming out. So each area kind of had their own trigger. But in terms of where you would use this is going to be whatever you see yourself using the most. If you're looking for something for development of vocabulary, if you have a lot of ESOL students that you need them to have a visual reminder of something, the 3D objects might be better for you. I see them being used in lots and lots of capacity. I think a word wall would be amazing. Like if you could create a word wall or like animals and put all the animals up, the kids can trigger them. The problem is, unless they are laying flat on the table, they look very strange because the animals will shoot up this way. So they'll look like they're like flying off the wall. So that's something that's kind of strange. If you have a device, you can actually trigger the 3D ones off of your computer. But you have to turn the screen and lay it flat and then trigger it so it looks like it stands up. So I think Katie can show us the demo possibly. There is, on the demo page right now, there is a giraffe. It's kind of cool. You have to be a little bit far away from it because the giraffe is so tall. You don't get the entire thing. There's a seahorse. And then there's also a couple more 360s on there that are on the demo site. So if you guys could do first name, last name, email, doesn't have to be a school email, and your choice, 360 or 3D. A lot of people are concerned about which one they should choose. If you have more than one person from your school here, each of you get one, and that way you have access to both, which would be a good solution. So. Yes.
What would you suggest for, I teach high school chemistry.
So,
I mean,
Katie, AP, chemistry, 3D objects, maybe?
like you said something about biomes and stuff like that.
Well, the biomes would be in the, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
The biomes are the 360.
Yeah, high school chemistry. Do you think 360 or 3D?
I would do 3D, but then I'm also very partial to a 3D.
That's 360s are my favorite just because I feel like they're very interactive. I feel like the 3D is awesome. I mean, like it's cool to see the animal pop up, but that's all it does. It doesn't like jump around the screen or do anything. There's so many things, but you get a lot more. So you're gonna get like 1,300 or something of the 3D objects.
So if we have more than one person in our
Find a buddy.
Another class
Did you see that?
element.
Did you see that?
Element?
See that element?
Yes, I have that.
Yeah, that was
Okay, I
Yeah, 'cause you did another class, that was before.
Yeah, I have that one, but I like today. She picked us up.
Oh, no, I don't know.
Yeah.
That was
So
really
how
cool.
far is this picture go off?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
Two.
Katie, you want to show us like where we go and what we do once we
Yes.
get our information?
Do you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So I have a lot of things in my courses. So yours is going to be a little bit narrower than mine. What you're going to do is you're going to log in up here at the top, and you're going to know that you're logged in when your name appears in the button. Okay?
You'll get this information once they set up your account. So when they send your account, you're going to have a username and you'll have a password. Typically, what they've been doing is first name dot last name and then last name first initial, but it's not always the same. So wait until they send you the email, and then if you don't get the email in a week, that lady send her emails. Lisa.at.augmented.com.
So do we also, does this, am I right to remember, this also includes subscriptions for 5 teachers in our school?
Katie Ann, there was additional information about 5. It said if they came to the first day, I think, they got 5 additional subscriptions to give to teachers at their school.
That is something you would have to email Lisa about.
Okay. We are ambassadors for the company, and so we just kind of like loosely, we do what they tell us to do, and we share the information. So ultimately, it goes through their headquarters. So we're just kind of sharing. We use this in our classroom, but obviously they get to kind of make all the deals and send out all the stuff that they're doing. So if we had access to just give it to you all right now, we would have done that. So, all right, Katie Ann.
Okay, so once you're logged in, you're going to click on My Courses, and you will see everything that you have access to. Okay, and there's quite a bit. You're going to be looking for the 3D shop or the 360 shop. And it looks like this. So it'll say Aug Shop 360 or Aug Shop 3D. Okay, so I'm going to bring up 3D. And you're going to see a page, and you know that you're there because it says OgShop 3D, and it says course brief and course units. You need to go to units. And then you'll see everything that's been augmented in a 3D object. And they have tons of stuff. I use a lot of the animals. I do an activity with my kids because we do a lot of typing. We do a lot of writing. I would have them pick an animal, a 3D animal, and a 360, and then they would have to write me a story about the animal in that environment. So once you've decided which one that you want to, you have two options. You have flashcards and stickers. Flashcards are bigger, and it has 2 pages per set of flashcards. One side is the picture, and the second side is the information about that location or animal or object. And then the stickers are a smaller version. It fills the entire sheet, and it's just the image. Okay, so you'll click, and they're all PDFs. So you would open them up. Maybe. If I go dead, that means the internet went away again. Hey, do you see animals?
Yes.
Okay. So you're going to get a whole file that has animals on it. And if you use the app and you scan them, you're going to get a 3D render of that animal. So there's snakes, sharks, bears, caterpillars, dolphins, cats, dogs, bugs. The spider one, the kids love the spiders. Oh my gosh. They put those around and start scanning them. They even scream because they think they're real. But you'll see that you'll get pictures on one sheet and then the information on the second sheet. So if you're doing dual printing, you will get the information on the back. I only print one side. I do not print the information side. So you can choose what to print, or if you know how to do screen capture or screenshots, you can just capture the area that you want and use that image. So I do that as well. But there's tons of animals. There's one of the spiders. Tons and tons and tons. And I use this one the most, along with the 360 triggers. So there's 62 pages of just animals. But half of that's times what? 6 on a sheet. You do the math. That's a lot of animals. You cannot hang these up on the wall if it doesn't work as well, because they pop out at you, and the kids have a hard time seeing the 3D object. It's best to do it on a flat surface. Any questions on the 3D? How much time do we have left?
I'm trying to show, I have one 3D trigger, so I'm trying to show everybody really quick. I brought a ton of 360s and no 3Ds.
Well, that's because we like the 360s.
Somebody made a really good point that they teach math. If anybody else teaches math, there is a really cool section of 3-dimensional shapes inside of the 3D objects. So that one's kind of cool with like cylinders and spheres, and kind of a cool way for the kids to see a flat object being brought to life. All right, Katie Ann, what you got?
You said math?
What? Math.
Did you say math? I
did say math.
Okay, give me a second.
They're good for a year or what?
Yeah. That's a good question. Katie Ann, do you know the length of their subscription? How long this is good for?
1 year.
How much is the
And they
subscription?
I think the last time I heard it was like $5 a kid. I think the subscription is, so it's a pretty good deal, honestly, like if you have 20 kids in your class. You know, obviously it's not by device. If you see, I see 1,000 kids when they come through my room. So we use the same triggers, but I only have it on so many devices, so it's, you know, it kind of works itself out. It is a 1 year, and then I know they do change. There's something about the augmentation that changes in a year where you'll have to either print new triggers. When you print these, one thing, I went all out. I went and printed them from like Staples or Office Depot. I printed them on cardstock. I did not laminate because I noticed I could not scan them. The glare would make it like really wonky. Katie Ann said that if you have the really glossy, you can use sandpaper and kind of dull it down and they work. And then she also found some of the pouch lamination that did have like a matte finish. So that worked out. What I personally do, I did the heavy cardstock, printed them once. They don't have to be in color. They can be in black and white. They can be smaller. I actually, a lot of times when I use them, like when we did our passports, I screenshot this image and I put it onto a different document and I shrunk it because on the passport it's only like this big. So you can make them any size and the trigger will still work. It's this image, but you want to make sure that you get the border included in it because all of this is part of the trigger. So in augmented reality, if you're not familiar, it's basically an overlay. It's like a super, super fancy QR code if you're familiar with those. So that's kind of the way that these work. They also have the ability, she's showing you the, it's just like flipping crazy. Yeah, these are the math ones, but you have the ability when you print them out. When I went to Staples, I was like, I don't want those in between cards. Can you scroll down? Those right there. I didn't want those because paying for dual-sided printing at Staples was really ugly. I can tell that they're a cylinder and a pyramid. So I just had the cards printed. Then I put a hole in the corner, a hole punch tip with those little reinforcer things on it, stuck it on a binder ring, and I hang them in my classroom. So I have the 360s hanging, I have the 3Ds hanging, and they're easy access. If I need them, I grab them and pull them out. So, fractions are really cool inside of the math. So it shows like a cylinder fraction. There's a pi fraction, I think.
So there's not really a teacher device and a student device,
Nope.
it's just an enabled device.
Yep. As long as, just what you guys did, you download Augmented on your devices, the kids will be able to access it.
So how many devices can be activated by each subscription?
I don't think, is there a limit, Katie? I mean, obviously not.
Really paying for
The triggers, access to the triggers.
The subscription is the access to the triggers.
Like, I mean, if I'm a teacher, would I be able to, in my subscription, would it include 30 device
however
neighbors?
many devices you put on that. So my kids
the
have
Well, you're using my cards if that helps you. And I've used these at every ed camp I've gone to, every session I've ever taught. You're all using my subscription. So if that kind of helps you, it's a very interesting, and they do change these. These change because some people said that theirs did not work. It could be that is one that is being fixed. It could be that is one that is not even in the library anymore. I am super cheap, so I printed them once, and I'm like, okay. And this was costly at first because I wanted them to be nice and in color and ready to go. And I snag them all back from the kids, and I hang them right back on the hook. These you guys can take with you if you want to play with them at home because they're definitely fun to play with. All right, Katie Ann, what you got?
Okay.
This is 3D.
Any questions on the 3Ds? Any question about their website?
Comparatively,
It's on and off.
these say 360.
Yeah. Typically what you're gonna see, like, there are certain pictures of borders, like down the some of them have sit down and see it. 360s say they have the longer polymers or triggers. So they're delineated by this. So that kind of tells you what, and it's the same platform, it's not like you hit 360 or 3, it's just a big old start button.
That's nice. So there's, so when you're looking,
Yeah,
when you look at this 3D image, that's all you see.
yeah, you can get closer if you turn to the, if you like, you have to manipulate your phone, so if you move to the side, you can kind of see it from different angles, move around. But these, you have to stay, with the 3D objects, you have to stay on the card. With the 360s, it's like locked and loaded. Or hold the card and you can,
So you can see.
hold the card and then move around time. Kitty, do you have anything else you want to share with us?
Yes, I was hearing questions, but I couldn't quite understand.
We were trying to show like manipulation of the 3D objects and how you can like move them around and stuff.
Okay, are there any questions about this before I move on?
I don't think so.
Okay. So we have this group in Google. Hang on. It is called Augmented Reality for Education.
What's that? Augmented reality?
And there's where we post activities, lessons, and a place where you can get help. I also post the chat schedule so that you know what the topic is. Yesterday was supposed to be reading and ELA, but thanks to power outage and life, it didn't happen. Next week will be ESL. And then on the 30th, we're going to add young learners to the chat. We do offer once a month with our Twitter chat at GHO so that you can connect with us and talk with us. I do ask for experts to join the panel to kind of help keep the chat going and answer any questions on that topic. And I try to change the topic to the GHO. And the GHO is a Google Hangout. Any questions on the community?
One thing I do have to say, this community is one of the tightest that I've ever seen, and it's not even just specifically always about Augmented. That is one of the major companies that we talk about, but there are other platforms that people use for augmented reality. And like I said at the beginning, Katie Ann is definitely the expert when it comes to this. So if you have any questions, she's kind of the person to go to. Just to kind of brag on her for a minute, my yearbook this year at my school is augmented thanks to Katie Ann. So you can scan pages in our yearbook, and we have videos that pop up. So we have events that happen at our school. We have like slideshows that the kids have created that are linked to our yearbook. So she is doing some amazing things. She just wrote a book. Do you have a picture of your cover?
Of my book?
Yeah. She's like, oh, yeah,
Well, yeah. Let me finish this part.
Oh, okay. Trying to give her a plug. Come on.
Well, in the community, we have the developers of all the other augmented reality companies, such as Quiver, Lipar, Cromville, okay, I can't think of the other, Stackery. All of them are members of this group, so if you have a question, you can post it in here, and if I can't answer it or some of my friends can't answer it, maybe one of the developers can. And they're also looking for suggestions. So if you have a suggestion, you can post it there too. Okay, and over here on the side, you can see that we have resources, lessons. I record our GHOs, so the recordings are there. And I do archive our chats, so you can go there and see the chats. So all that information is within this community. Then over, I have a blog. I do put all the things that I work on in the blog. So it's not always augmented reality, but that is the hot topic right now. So I do have a tab. Anything that's been tagged augmented reality, you can click on there and you'll see it. And then my book's up in the corner.
All right, Katie, and we have about 5 minutes left.
Okay, are there any questions for me? When do I sleep?
That was amazing.
I don't. Any other questions?
That's really weird. It's like
a giant Japanese old man.
we got a really awesome lag.
Oh.
I feel like I should go write subtitles next to it.
It's Godzilla.
Okay, are you guys good? Do you have? Oh, it's kind of stuff to take in, I know. Really cool resource, and it's, you've heard it a million times as an educator. This is not your only tool in the toolbox. This is one of those things that you pull in. It has some amazing potential, like amazing. To be able to put a kid in an environment that they may not necessarily have the ability to go to. You pull it out during a reading story. Let's say that you're reading a story about somewhere up north and there's tons and tons of snow. Well, the kids here can relate to that, so put them in that environment. Your students that are English language learners, you're talking about, I can't tell you how many times I've tried to explain to kids. There was a really great one. Somebody said something about a tree that bears fruit. And I had an ESOL student that was like, what? A bear in a tree? And, that was a great chance to go look for a picture of a fruit tree and talk about, bearing fruit means it's a tree that has fruit on it. So, just things like that you may think, I know the word banister is a big one. There's like, I think the ESOL test that they give the kids asks them to point to a picture of a banister, and kids are like, what? Or a sled.
Our kids are on about it.
So, anyways, that is, there's some great tools, there's some great lesson hooks. Do you have anything else to say from Kansas?
Connect with me, ask me questions anytime. My phone does travel with me all the time, so I'm very connected. And if I can't answer your question, I will find somebody that can. Just ask Terry. I always answer back.
Yes. Yes. All right, now Katie, Anna, we're gonna go set up the Model T Ford now. So.
I need pictures.
I hope you're not disappointed. It took some abuse getting here. So, all right. Well, it was good chatting with you as always.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Have a great day.
You too.